Hey guys, so this is probably going to be one of, if not the most important, groundbreaking, out of this world, bananas, bonkers, Dokkan news update videos I've ever done. That's saying a lot because I've done some pretty crazy ones. The link level update one I did, I thought that would be the biggest one I'd ever do in a long time, and that wasn't even that long ago, to be honest. That was 4 or 5 months ago, and we're already getting one that I would argue is twice, maybe 3 times as important, if not more than that, than the link level update was. Yeah, we're just gonna jump right into things. So this is an announcement that they made on JP Dokkan, where they're sort of thanking people for their support during the 6th year anniversary, and they're going through, the little messages down here. Thank you for celebrating the 6th year anniversary with us. The game's been out for 6 years, which is a long time for a game like this, a mobile game, a gacha game. And here they talk about a future update. They say, from this point forward, in a future update, you are going to be able to use multiple characters that have the same name that are different units on the same team. So, yeah, that's what they announced in this little update that they have here for the, this is mostly supposed to be a thank you for, your support, blah, blah, blah. But they threw that in there. And, whenever they use this word, like a future update, quote unquote, that historically for this game has meant, days or 1 to 2 weeks away from this. So I would expect this relatively soon. I wouldn't expect this like months later. There's only been a few exceptions where they've announced that they're doing something soon and it doesn't come out for a long time. The one that comes to mind is EX Skill Orbs. Still haven't gotten those yet, but they've announced them in the news. But this is something that I would probably expect to see relatively soon, coming to the game. It's just insane to think about this. So for instance, if you've been playing Dokkan for any point in time, for people who don't understand what I'm saying, and how, this is going to change the landscape of the game forever. Let's just imagine that you have the physical Vegito Blue and the tech Vegito Blue. And you have them both in your account, and you go to make a team. You cannot include both of those units on the same team because they have the same name, even though they're different units. What this update is saying is that now you can include them both on the same team, and there's going to be no restrictions for that at all. And the reason they gave for this update right here is they just want to make it a lot more easy and free in terms of team building, which makes a lot of sense. It's going to definitely accomplish that. And this is actually something that I've seen a lot of Japanese players campaigning for a very long time. There's a few YouTubers I watch that actively talk about, I wish that we could use multiple characters of the same name and same team. Whenever they do these surveys, Dokkan does these surveys, I see a lot of Japanese players on Twitter, and I don't mean like, JP players that are playing from other countries that aren't Japan. I mean like people who live in Japan that are Japanese that are playing the JP version of the game. A lot of people ask for this on the surveys. So I think they actually really do listen to feedback on the surveys. So, we should be getting a survey for the 6th year anniversary here in a little bit. So, if you have something you want to change about the game or you want to see them improve upon, obviously it's going to be in Japanese, but you can use Google Translate or whatever to translate your answer, or what you want to type in there. But they do actually listen. This is, I think, pretty conclusive proof of that, at least for the Japanese side of things. And I think, for me at least, something that I would want to see change in the future is, and I think I can speak for a lot of people with this as well, is the friend system needs to be changed drastically. Just because there's some instances where you actually can't run teams because you can't find a friend to also be the reciprocating lead for that category that you want to run. So that is the one thing I would want to see them change next, and that's something that I would put in the survey. But I mean, this is direct feedback from the player base. People have been campaigning for this for a long time. I've seen it on the Twitter timeline. I didn't think it would actually happen, but here we are. It happened. It's happening. So the other thing I do want to talk about as well is that Global does have a maintenance announcement for 5:30 p.m. to 12:30 a.m. going from the 8th of March to the 9th. Currently, it is the 3rd of March, so this is in about 5 days from now. I do want to also say that there's 2 possibilities from this, I think. I mean, there's other possibilities, but I think there's 2 main possibilities of what this maintenance could be bringing to the game for Global. I think in addition to like the EZA for Int Gogeta and stuff like that, that's just mainstream, but this is a 7-hour maintenance. Okay, so two things. This could either be bringing one, all the 6-year anniversary stuff that JP Dokkan had. So that includes costume changes, it includes revival skills, it includes support memories. So all that stuff that JP got, they could just put that into the files, all that data, they could just dump it into the files, and it'll sit there until the anniversary. They've done that before. They did that with the 5-year anniversary. They had skill orbs in the database for a long time. You could actually see when you had a game over, or when you died in an event, and the game asks you if you want to use a dragon stone. You could see the skill orbs like listed on the little thing of what items you've collected on the stage. So that was in the data for a long time before the anniversary. So they could actually be putting all this stuff into the database now. The other option is potentially them updating the game for this specifically before Saiyan Day, because as we know, Saiyan Day typically is a shared celebration between Global and JP. We both get the same Dokkan Fest unit at the same time, and the theory is that this Dokkan Fest for Saiyan Day this year might be a very, very popular character that they already have 1 to 3 versions of in the game with the same name. So obviously, if they want a way around that, and this would actually help their sales as well, because if they keep selling the same character over and over and over again, that name is going to be, that name is going to devalue that character, because no matter how good they make the character, there's already another option that you can use that has the same name, and you can't use them both in the same team. So if you can use them both in the same team, or all the characters in the same name on the same team, then they could just print 7 different Vegetos that have the same name, and you could use them all on the same team. Oh yeah, the one thing I do want to mention as well is it does not mention this here at all, but there's no discussion on whether or not you'll be able to link 2 characters that have the same name together. I guess there's 2 different trains of thoughts about that. Number one, it would make team building super easy, because more often than not, units that have the same name share most of the links with each other. So if you have Tech Vegito Blue and Physical Vegito Blue, they're going to share most of their links with each other. So that would most likely become the optimal rotation on all of those characters' teams together. You just run the same units together on every single rotation. That, to me, would make team building a lot easier. That's point number 1. But on the contrary to that, point number 2 is that would just make team building more boring, in my opinion. Because then you would just use the same name units on every team together, and you would just run a team of 6 Vegetos, or 6 Gogetas, or 6 Friezas, or 6 Cells. You see where I'm going with this? The units in this game have links for a reason, because they're supposed to be thematic. So Cells have Cell-related links, Friezas have Frieza-related links, Vegetos have Vegito-related links. So if you can form a team where the same character is just in every single slot of that team, it sort of defeats the purpose of team building in that, you'll have all the links active at all times, and it just becomes, what character's team do you want to use now? So there's an argument for and against having these characters being able to link up with each other, but I guess we'll see what they actually end up going with, because it does not mention here what they want to do here. But we can quickly go through these categories and look at the characters they're going to print more of. I mean, Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta is a really, really easy example to bring up. They released the Int Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. People were surprised he was a TUR, because they were like, oh yeah, I thought he would be an LR the next time we got one of them. Well, guess what? We can just get an LR one now, because you can use them all on the same team. Same thing with Super Gogeta from Fusion Reborn. Same thing with Vegetos, all the Rosés, all the Goku Blacks, all the Keflas. They can all be used together now. But I think the big winner, or winners of this update, are categories like this, in the Mechian category. This category is like 85 to 90% Piccolo, because there aren't that many Mechians in the series. I mean, there's Piccolo, there's Slug and Nail, and then there's even King Piccolo. Like, who else? Kami, he's like 1 card. But this team was always hindered by the fact that you can't use multiple Piccolos together on the same team. And what they could go ahead and do now is they could release more Dokkan Fest Piccolos, and you could use them all together. I know there was a big movement to try and get Piccolo's name changed, from just Piccolo to maybe Piccolo parentheses Kami. Now it doesn't matter. I mean, you could just link them or I don't know if you can link them together, but you can just include them on the same team now. And that's a way that they can sort of buff or fix these smaller categories that need help. I mean, you could say the same thing about something like World Tournament as well, where all they would need to do to buff this category is you could just release characters that are super hyped for this category, and just release like 2 or 3 of them. And even though they have the same name, you can run them on the same team, and it'll make things a lot easier in terms of team building. So I don't know, maybe like they make a really good version of this TN or something, who has, you know, the forearm TN. He has the same name as the other TNs in the game, but it's different times of this character appearing in the series that you can use together on the same team now. So I guess what I'm trying to say. So that's a way that they can buff these categories. But on the contrary to that as well, you're going to have categories like Goku's family, where you're just going to use all Gokus now. And like, this team didn't need help, right? This team already had a nice roster of characters on it. So I guess there's pros and cons to this change. Something else we could talk about too, Wicked Bloodline. I mean, this category is 90% Friezas, but already we're seeing a good benefit from this update because, you know, LR First Form Prime Battle Frieza obviously is one of the best units in this category. We have Transforming Frieza, who's still really good. I would say pretty underrated unit. Definitely not as good as the Prime Battle Frieza by any means, but now you can run them both together if you want. So it gives you more options for these categories that aren't as big to run together. This is also going to let them sell characters like over and over and over again as well, which is probably the main motivation behind them doing this. Like Golden Frieza, they can just keep releasing Golden Frieza Dokkan Fest if they want to. They can just keep releasing Full Power Frieza Dokkan Fest if they want to. It doesn't matter if their names overlap anymore. You can just use them together. You can take a look at the EZA list. A lot of these EZA Dokkan Fest exclusive characters have had replacements that directly are better than them. Int Janemba and STR Janemba are pretty similar. You have to choose whether or not you wanted to use Int one or the STR one. Now you don't have to choose anymore, you can use one or the other. This Gotenks has the physical Gotenks, who's inevitably going to have a pretty decent EZA, I would say. So that would pretty much make this tech Gotenks obsolete. Well, now you can use both together. So this update does really change the landscape of the entire game moving forward. And again, I think this probably is, you could argue, the biggest, most important update this game has ever done in terms of just one, you know, sweeping thing that they've done. So that's pretty much it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Let me know down below what you guys think about this update. Again, I imagine this is coming at some point within the next few days / weeks. So I will keep you guys updated on this as we get more information, and I will see you guys all in the next one.